What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 12th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy Hump Day to everyone out there. Before we get started, just want to say thank you for your patience with the sound. I feel like I was whispering the past couple days, and then between the music playing, them getting set up for breakfast, and the lady at the hotel was very, very strict. And like, it was funny. She would yell at people. She would say, no, it's not the time to eat breakfast. Read the sign. Coffee isn't ready till this time. So it was loud, but it's good to be back home. Had a great time going to the spring training game and then just being in Clearwater. It's such a, if you've never been, such like a little fun area. We were able to stay like a block off the beach and just love the Jersey Shore. Love going to Ocean City, Maryland. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something different about being on a beach in Florida. The sand is different. The water just feels, it was cold, don't get me wrong, but it just a different vibe down there. So I highly recommend going to Clearwater if you've never been. We're already looking forward to going down again, either next year or the year after. The kids had a blast. Don't want to disparage any airlines. However, I will never fly the airline I flew again. And it's funny because we came home, saw on the news that Southwest is going to start charging for bags. And I feel like the airline that I flew on was not Southwest, but man, they charged for every little thing you could imagine, nickel and diming. But that was the biggest negative about the entire trip. So I'm going to miss not being able to just walk in and get some breakfast and have the coffee waiting, not being able to charge drinks to the room, things like that. But it was a good time. Fun seeing the Phillies play. We did get to spend a full day on the beach. We went to the aquarium. Lots of fun. Had some good seafood, fresh seafood too. Oh, I cannot get over that. But I do, again, thank you for your patience with the sound. I know there's a couple times I missed some events. I missed shouting out our sponsors and things like that. So I do apologize. We're back now. It might take me a day or two to get back into the groove, but hopefully the sound is good. I'm checking the monitor here. It looks good. Might be a little louder today than normal, but that's okay. It's good to be back. Don't want to go back to work today, but hey, it is what it is. Lots to get to today, though. But first, be sure to follow me on social media at Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram at PhillyJimbo. And that's the other thing. The social media posts were very sporadic over the time we were in Florida for obvious reasons. Just not being able to focus, going into the pool with the kids and things like that. So again, thank you for your patience through all that. Continue to spread the word. Subscribe to that YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Lots of various comments and things coming in on the YouTube channel, which is good. Some opportunities are coming my way. Not ready to announce one yet, but might have a cool little feature coming up in the next couple of weeks where I sit down with someone to discuss some things that happened in Philly sports past, which I didn't even know existed. So if you have suggestions or ideas or anything like that, like these guys are reaching out to me, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always open for new ideas and really looking for ways to expand my reach. Make sure you check out my friends at onpattison.com. Lots of good things for Philly sports coming. I did see that the Phillies announced their giveaways for the year. Lots of cool things. They did a feature on that. You can get the inbox or the newsletter delivered right to your inbox every day. We're featured in there once or twice a week. Good guys over there. Time is running out for the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ballot. I believe Friday is the actual deadline day. I got to go through some emails, got to check in. We have the meeting scheduled for choosing the actual people. So it's still not too late to win those free VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. All you need to do is click that link in the description, fill out your ballot, and if it most closely matches the actual induction class, you will win those 2 free VIP tickets. The ceremony itself is a great great production. Get to mingle with the players and things like that. Some of the people that you just get to talk to, it's just Philly sports royalty. So be sure to fill that out. Doesn't cost a thing, and you could win 2 free VIP tickets. All right, Flyers lost again, 5th straight after going on a hot streak there. They did play better than they had been playing, at least, but lost 5-2 to the Senators. They are now 6 points within 6 points of a top 3 pick. So depending on how the rest of the season plays out, still rumblings about what's going to happen with John Tortorella. They're actually 8 points back of a wild card with a lot of teams to jump over. So it looks like we're jockeying for playoff position with the Flyers. But 5-2, they lost yesterday to the Senators. Now, your team, your town, your 76ers, big game for them tonight. They welcome the Toronto, or I think they go up to Toronto tonight to play the Raptors. And it's huge for draft seeding. So the Sixers are only a half a point back of Toronto for the 5th draft pick. Now, this is important for tiebreakers because if they lose tonight, they will own the tiebreaker over the Raptors for if they end up being tied, because Toronto has already beaten them twice. They have tonight and then another game. I believe it's the last game of the season they play Toronto. So this is a huge, huge game for the Sixers. If they can lose this game, they're going to be in good shape. And again, there's always the outside shot that they get one of those top 3 picks. But really, we want to make sure we're getting at least the 6th pick, because if not, it goes to Oklahoma City. Our old pal Al Horford still haunting us to this day. Phillies with another offensive explosion yesterday, 18-8. They beat the Red Sox. Mick Abel was not good. He was sent back to the minor league camp. He's going to be okay. I know a lot of people were ripping how bad he is, but he's still young, still trying to find his way. He and Gabriel Ricones were 2 of the players sent down to the minor league camp. I'm telling you, though, remember that name, Gabriel Ricones. Hopefully he starts the season at Lehigh Valley. It can hit well up there. He, like I said, I actually got to talk to him for a couple minutes down in spring training. Very nice kid. Tons and tons of potentials. Was hitting bombs all throughout the spring. So remember that name. I'm telling you, he could be the future of the team. Jose Alvarado looked good again. I think Jose is going to be a key piece to this bullpen. Comes in, was able to see him in person. Looks good. You could tell he put in the work in the offseason. So looking forward to seeing what Jose can do this year for the bullpen. They are down to 45 players in camp, and some of the battles are heating up. And there's not really a ton of battles, a couple bullpen spots. Matt Strom's shoulder has been giving him trouble, so there might be an opportunity for somebody to get in there. But really, the 2 spots that are open are the last spot on the bench and backup catcher. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with backup catcher, because Stubbs' numbers offensively anyway have been better than Rafael Marchand's. But the key, I think, to that is Stubbs still has a minor league option where Marchand doesn't. So essentially the Phillies could keep him in the minor leagues to start the season and give the backup catcher to Marchand. But we know that Stubbs is the vibe guy, but I'm kind of over the vibes with this team. They need to produce on the field. So it should be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 2 weeks. And then the last bench spot likely will go to someone who can play outfield and infield. Looks like Cody Clemens has the inside track to that. But those are things we'll be watching here the next couple weeks here before the season opens for the Phils. Lots of Eagles to talk about. And after I recorded, we got dressed, got ready to go to the airport, and this is when this news dropped. CJ Gardner-Johnson was traded for Kenyon Green, who was a former first-round pick of a guard, kind of a bust in Houston. I don't know. I think from the perspective that he's going to work with Jeff Stoutland, that could be a good move. Likely means Mekhi Becton is not coming back, which, again, Becton was last year's Kenyon Green, I guess you could say. But the CJ Gardner-Johnson thing, I am having a hard time kind of trusting the process here, and because I loved what he brought to this team. Obviously, we saw what happened the year that he went to Detroit and kind of missed that attitude, those vibes. Now, this is a different team. They have that swag about them being a Super Bowl champion, so we'll see what it goes. But he did give a heartfelt thank you on, I don't know what platform he was on, but kind of explaining to one of his buddies or whatever how it went down. And the Eagles did do right by him. I guess he said there's no hard feelings. It was a very good call that he had. He got it. It was definitely a money cost-saving move, the way I took it from CJ Gardner-Johnson, saying that Jalen Carter's going to have to get paid. He said those young guys in the secondary are ready to step up. I mean, he's in the meeting room, or was in the meeting rooms and everything with them. He's confident that they're going to go. He said the only thing he asked for Howie is to send him someplace where he can win. Houston's making some moves down there. They get a good young quarterback. So I think they did right. He seemed excited to go down there, but did give that heartfelt thank you. And CJ, thank you for the Super Bowl champion. Thank you for the forever memory from that Super Bowl, taking belt to ass. I love it. I would have to imagine that Vic Fangio did have some input on this as well. I do think the guys they have in the secondary are ready to step up into the leadership. They learned probably a lot from Slay and Gardner-Johnson being the vets there. But no more CJ Gardner-Johnson. Still not sure how I feel about it. It definitely helps the team out long term. And there's still a lot of offseason left to kind of see how the rest of the pieces of the puzzle kind of fit in. So I don't want to make any snap judgments. It does look like Sidney Brown's going to have a shot to win that starting safety spot. Whether or not Howie has something else up his sleeve, I don't know. But Sidney Brown does kind of have that sort of mentality that CJ Gardner-Johnson has. One of the things with Sidney Brown coming out of college was that he needs to sometimes rein in his play. So hopefully with some of the other guys they have on that defense and working under Vic Fangio, they'll be able to help do that. But it still remains to be seen. Not sure where this is going to go. I think one thing we keep forgetting is that they did bring back Zach Bond, which is basically because it happened before the free agent period started. We're kind of forgetting about that. That's a huge comeback for them. So we'll see what happens. And I'll get more into that in a minute. But let's go to a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, should the Eagles fans, do they have a right to feel entitled? And I guess I wasn't very clear because lots of feedback, lots of comments on this, but 83% of you said no. They don't have any right to be feeling entitled. But what I meant from that, maybe entitled was the wrong word, but just expecting Howie to always make the right decisions, be in the Super Bowl conversation every year. And don't get me wrong, I think we need to have high expectations for this team because their window for another Super Bowl championship is wide open. But I seem to, and this is where I love doing this podcast because the history of Philly sports isn't always the best. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. So I think sometimes there needs to be a little bit of reality checks in there and just expecting Howie to always do the right thing. And I go back to Joe Banner days and even before Joe Banner when some of the moves were questionable at best. So that's kind of what I meant. But I do feel that there's no reason to feel entitled. And that to me is still different than having Super Bowl aspirations and Super Bowl expectations of this team. I know we buried old Philly a couple months ago, but we also need to kind of keep things in perspective and keep reality because we're not there yet. We don't have, as Philly fans, we don't have the trophy case overflowing like some cities. So that's sort of what I meant. It was kind of, like I said, Florida brain, so we'll chalk it up to that. But that does lead to today's question of the day. with everything that's going on with the Eagles and losing so many players. And I will say, not the only one that's a shocker to me right now that they did not bring back is CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's, like I said, that's the one that kind of was a shock as I'm on the shuttle through the airport. I'm just like, wait a minute, it didn't make any sense. So I think from that perspective, I think we're good. I know they still need some help on the line. They're stockpiling draft picks, which Howie tends to be able to move those draft picks and bring guys in. So the question of the day, is it still in Howie we trust? He did say to be patient. It's not, the offseason is long. So are we still putting it, it's Howie season and Howie we trust? Is that still our mindset? 267-495-8531. That's a Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know your thoughts on that. CJ Gardner-Johnson, anything else Eagles free agent related? Who would you like to see them try to bring in? I see Howie making some moves on that second wave where some of the vets maybe don't get what they thought they were going to get, and he brings them in on cheaper one-year prove-it deals. But is it still in Howie we trust? Let me know your thoughts. I'm having a hard time with it right now. However, I do think he's earned that. So as much as I'm struggling with it, I am going to trust the process here with Howie and not make any snap judgments until training camp opens and we see what this team actually looks like. But what are your thoughts on that? And then the other big story, and I was hesitant to even discuss this, but I think there's a good opportunity here. The Eagles will visit the White House in April to celebrate the Super Bowl win. And I think for this, we need to take the politics out of it. Because truthfully, we're very divided when it comes to anything politics. And this is not me taking a stance either way on either party. Because truthfully, I don't really identify as any of them. I'm really straight down the middle. And whatever is important to me, my family, and my career, that's really what I tend to make my voting decisions on. But I think you always need to take the politics out of this. Visiting the president, going to the White House as the champion of your league, whether it be college, pro, whatever it is, was always a great honor. And like the presidents and things like that always has a strong tie to sports, going back to Army, Navy, back when that the president first started attending that game. And just because the Eagles are going to the White House does not mean that they are supporting this candidate or this president and his policies and politics. You don't even have to like those things, but it's kind of a cool thing to go visit the White House, and it's the president of the United States. I think sometimes we forget that because of social media and all of the coverage, and they're constantly in our face. I remember there was a point in time where the only time you saw or heard from the president a lot of times was when there's a address to the entire nation. Obviously, we live in a different world then, but I think it's a good thing. And I think maybe this is a chance to sort of bring the country together. I know, going back as a former history teacher, the country has always been divided on policy and things that are social issues, anything, going back to George Washington's presidency. And if you want to go back even further than that, creating the Constitution and writing the Declaration of Independence, all of that, people were divided on. But they're able to come together and work. And I feel like this is turning into like a bonus Tuesday motivation. But it's a cool thing to be able to experience and go to the White House and just the history and everybody who's been in that building, lived in that building. So hopefully this is a way to sort of help bridge some of those things, because we've gotten to a spot now where, and I see it on social media all the time, everybody just argues with everybody and nobody listens. So maybe the Eagles, being a team from a very democratic city, going to visit the White House might be a step in bringing everybody together. I don't know. And hopefully I didn't lose any listeners to do this, because I didn't want to make it. It's not about politics with me. It's just about the experience of going to the White House. And again, doesn't mean you have to agree with the person who's inviting you. Doesn't mean you automatically now are supporting them. It's just a very cool thing. And I think through all of this free agent stuff and everything, we're the Super Bowl champions. And I think the Eagles are having a good team coming back. So to be able to kind of experience all of the flowers and the spoils that go with that, I think it's a cool experience. And if you disagree, that's fine. You can let me know that as well. But I think it's a cool experience for them to go. All right, be sure to check out my friends at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things happening with their sports network. If you want more information on how you can get involved with them, go to clashingconferences.com. Basically, it's a platform for you to get on and not have to do really much work, but talk sports. It's a great thing what he's doing over there, my boy Steven. So go check out the clashingconferences.com. The promo codes. I'm already still got Florida brain. The information that you need is on that site about how you can get involved. And the podcast, that's what I was going to say. The podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then be sure to go to Philly Goat. All kinds of great things. Had so many comments on the fans at the spring training game. Lots of Philly Goat shirt all through Clearwater. Be like the cool kids down in Clearwater. Go check out everything they have. I mean, partnerships with everybody. The golf shirts are cool. The slides, everything you need is on phillygoat.com. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, the Sixers lost to the Bulls 108-104 at the Coors State Center. But the score wasn't important. I mean, the Sixers were on their way to a 22-60 finish. The Bulls were on their way to their second straight title. But on this night, a night where Andrew Toney made his return to the Sixers at the urging of Pat Croce, who wanted to kind of bring back and celebrate the heritage and legacy of the Sixers team. If you remember, Andrew Toney left on bad terms due to his feet and just the management of the injury through the old ownership. Bringing in the new ownership, Pat Croce was like, yo, we need to celebrate the heritage of this team. They showed him on the Jumbotron, kind of easing his way back in and celebrating the heritage. But on this night that Andrew Toney made his return, we realized as Sixers fans that we had something special on our team. Allen Iverson, the rookie Allen Iverson out of Georgetown, tied his career high with 37 points. Was the game high. That Bulls team had Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. They were loaded. But Allen Iverson had a game high 37 points, which actually was tied his career high for that season. But the play of the game was on a 19-foot fadeaway with Michael Jordan guarding him when he did that ridiculous crossover that left Michael Jordan off balance. He hit the shot, crowd went wild, and we were just like, wow, we have something special. I feel it was one of the signature moves of Allen Iverson's career, and after the game, he's been he was bugging for the ball. He wanted the ball. He basically said, I want to be the leader. I want the ball. When the game is on the line, I want to be the guy that takes the shot. And I think as a rookie, having that mentality, this was when we realized that this dude could really, at 6 foot tall on a good day, put a team on his back and just lead them all the way. This night, back in 1997, the legend of Allen Iverson was born when he hit the crossover, pulled up 19-foot fadeaway jumper over the GOAT, and the rest, as they say, is history. But the Sixers lost to the Bulls on this day. They played them tough, but Allen Iverson, game high 37, including the killer crossover 19-foot fadeaway on Michael Jordan, the GOAT. And then finally today, our Big Five Women's Hall of Fame spotlight. We're going to spotlight Maureen Kramer from LaSalle. She played at LaSalle from 1977 to 1981. She graduated as their all-time leading scorer and rebounder. She averaged almost 18 points, 10 rebounds her senior season at LaSalle. She also played softball and volleyball for LaSalle, so another three-sport star. She graduated from Archbishop Ryan. She is a LaSalle legend. She was inducted into their Hall of Fame in 1991. She's in the Big Five Hall of Fame in 1989. And I can't 100% confirm this. And I always like to have everything sort of in perfect line, but I think she then went back and taught in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia upon graduation. But Maureen Kramer from LaSalle graduated as their leading rebounder and leading scorer of all time, one of the greatest to ever do it, and then also played softball and volleyball too. So Maureen Kramer, you are today's Big Five Women's Hall of Fame spotlight. On this day in 1997, Sixers lose to the Bulls, but Allen Iverson stole the show, hitting the crossover on Michael Jordan, hitting the fadeaway, and realizing that we had a star in the making. Let me know your thoughts on Howie Roseman, though. Is it still in Howie we trust? Do we got to trust the process and be patient like he asked us to? I sure hope so. Also, let me know your thoughts on CJ Gardner-Johnson. I do feel better after hearing his little thing that he posted that it was a good call, no bad feelings, no bad terms. Made it seem like it was a money. He was like, listen, those guys, they need to pay those dudes. And basically said the guys in the secondary are ready to step up. So I do feel slightly better. I'm trusting the process reluctantly here with Howie, but let me know your thoughts on that. We'll have more on the Sixers and Phillies tomorrow. Specifically, did the Sixers earn the tiebreaker over the Toronto Raptors and not easily, but technically slide into that fifth spot by a half game? We'll keep track on that. Again, thank you for your patience as I was in Florida. Hopefully we're back now to normal and everything should be good. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 12th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Wednesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.